Hey everybody, this is Ben and welcome back to another Leetcode video. And today we're going to be looking at problem 1190 titled Reverse Substrings Between Each Pair of Parentheses. We will read through the prompt, we'll talk about the pseudocode, we'll walk through an example, and then we will type code up a solution together. So you are given a string S that consists of lowercase English letters and brackets. Reverse the strings in each pair of matching parentheses, starting from the innermost one. Your result should not contain any brackets. So basically, for each set of parentheses, let's look at this example here. We need to start the innermost parentheses first, and we need to reverse the substring within those parentheses. Then we'll clear that, so we'll clear the parentheses as well, and we'll insert that into our string, and then we'll evaluate the next pair of parentheses, so on and so forth. That looks a little bit confusing, but when we talk through an example, it will be much more clear. Let's go ahead and talk about this problem a little more in depth. So we need to reverse a substring found within any set of parentheses. There could be parentheses within parentheses, which complicates the issue. I'm going to fix that typo. However, the approach here is simple. Whenever we hit a closing parentheses, we need to reverse the current substring, which are all characters before the closing parentheses, up until the opening parentheses. So how can we store the data? A stack will work well for this problem. So we can loop through the given string S and push each character into the stack. However, if the current character is a closing parentheses, then we will not push that character. Instead, we will create a new string builder. We will pop all the characters in the stack, stopping once we hit an opening parentheses, and append these characters to our string builder. We will then call the pop command an additional time to remove the opening parentheses from our stack. Then we'll loop through our string builder from the beginning, pushing each character back into the stack. So this represents our reversal process of that substring. This will be more clear when we walk through an example. Once we have looped through all the characters in string S, we will pop every character from res and append it to the string builder. From our stack, we'll pop every character from our stack and append it to the string builder. We will then return this as a reverse string. So let's go ahead and look at the pseudocode here. First, we'll initialize a stack. We'll use a for loop to walk through every character in string S. Now we'll set a character temp equals the current character at I. If temp equals closing parentheses, create a new string builder, while the stack is not empty and stack.peak does not equal opening parentheses. So stack.peak will look at the top character of the stack without removing it. Then we'll append stack.pop, which removes the top character, to our string builder for each iteration. Once our while loop is over, we'll go ahead and say end while loop here for clarification. We'll go ahead and call stack.pop one more time because this will remove the opening parentheses as we have no need for it now. Because remember, we were testing this while loop with a parameter of stack.peak doesn't equal that opening parentheses. Now we'll say for in j equals 0, j less than string builder.length, and increment j by 1. We'll go ahead and push the current character at j back into our stack. So this is adding the characters back to the stack in a reverse manner. Now if our character temp does not equal a closing parentheses, we simply push the character into our stack. End our for loop, create a new string builder. While the stack is on empty, we just append stack.pop to the string builder, so the top element gets added to the string builder. And then we'll have to return our string builder in reverse as a string as our final answer. So this could be a bit confusing, but let's go ahead and walk through an example together. So we'll say the given string S is parentheses u, parentheses love, closing I, closing parentheses. We'll go ahead and initialize character stack st. Now for int I equals 0, I less than s.length, I plus plus. Let's walk through each iteration of our for loop. When I equals 0, character equals opening parentheses. That's our 0th character. And this does not equal closing parentheses, so we push it to the stack. And as you can see, this represents our stack, and the arrow is pointing to the top. I equals 1, character is u, that does not equal closing, so we push it. Now we have parentheses, and then u is on top. I equals 2, Opening parentheses, same thing. This if statement doesn't catch, so we'll go ahead and push it. Now we have this here as our stack with this element as the top. I equals 3, character T is L. If statement doesn't catch, else, push it to the stack. I equals 4, character equals 0, or equals O, excuse me. If statement doesn't catch, so we'll push it to the stack. Which, as you can see, O is now the top element. Next, character is V. This doesn't catch. Go ahead and push it to the stack. Now, character is E. It's false again. Push it onto the stack. So E is the top element, and this is our full stack. Now, when I equals 7, a lot of typos in this one, we'll find a closing parentheses, our current character. So now that if statement's going to catch. So we'll create a new string builder SB, and we'll say while stack isn't empty, and stack.peak does not equal an open parentheses. Because this will terminate when the top character of the stack is our open parentheses. That's when we want to stop, because we know we found all the character, the alphabetic character values in our substring that we need to reverse. So for the first iteration, we pop the top, which is E. Now our stack is this, and we append E to our temporary string builder. Second iteration, we now get V, and this is going to be O, and this is going to be L. So we pop V, this is now our stack, we add V to our string builder. Third iteration, O, here's our stack, go ahead and add it. Next is L, go ahead and add it. Pretty simple process there. So our string builder is EVOL, which is reversed from what it was as our input. So keep that in mind. And we end our while loop. We call stack.pop to remove the open parentheses that is currently the top, as you can see, because we have no use for it anymore. Now this is our current stack with U as the top element. We have a for loop here to iterate through our temporary string builder. Now when j equals 0, the 0th character is E, so we're going to add that back into our stack, and this is our reverse manner that we're talking about. We need to add it back to the stack, and then this technically, those elements we just worked with get reversed again in the next set of parentheses, since they were an inner set of parentheses. So E is now the top element, push V, V is now the top element, push O, O is now the top element, push L, L is now the top element, and the for loop. Now go to I equals 7. Character is I, does it catch, go ahead and push it, so here's our current stack. I is 8, our character is a closing parentheses, and this is our last character of our whole string. So if the character is a closing parentheses, which is true, again, we create our string builder, we'll iterate through our stack until we hit an open parentheses. So first iteration, we pop I, this is our current stack, and we add I to our string builder. We just do this so on and so forth until we hit that open parentheses. So we're going to end with a stack that just has an open parentheses, and our string builder is going to be I love you, and while loop. Go ahead and pop one more time, removes that open parentheses, so now we have an empty stack. Now we use a for loop to re-push these elements from our string builder into our stack. So at j equals 0, the first character of our string builder is I, our 0th character, so push that to the stack, so on and so forth until we get to our last character, U. Now our stack looks like this, I love you, which is technically in order. Now what we're going to do, end our while loop, and we end our total for loop. Now we create a new string builder result, I call it res for short. While the stack is not empty, we append s.pop. So we're adding from the back. So we're going to add U first, then E, then V, so on and so forth. So our result now equals this. Then we'll return this reversed and to a string, so we get I love you, which is the correct answer. So let's go ahead and code up a solution together. So we'll start by creating our stack of character form. Equals new stack. I'm just going to call this st. We'll say for in I equals 0, I less than s.length, I plus plus, and we'll say character t, our temp character, equals s.character at I. If t equals a closed parentheses, we'll create a new string builder, sb, and we'll say while our stack is not empty, And our stack peak does not equal an open parentheses. And this likes to autofill in a weird way sometimes. Then we'll go ahead and append s.pop, or st.pop. Now we'll go ahead and call pop one more time. This will remove the open parentheses that's going to be left. We'll say for int j equals 0, j is less than sp.length, j++. We'll go ahead and push that character back to the stack with that right there. And that should be good for that top loop. Now we'll say else, referring to our initial if statement. We'll simply push our character t if it doesn't equal a closed parentheses. Now, once this terminates, we'll have a new string builder called res. Let's go ahead and build that here. And we'll say, wow, our stack is not empty. I will append the top character through st.pop. Then once that terminates, once our stack is empty, we'll return res.reverse.toString. Let's go ahead and run the program. Hopefully I have no typos in here. And I do have a typo. Let's say length. Let's spell that correctly and try again. And that's going to work. So let's go ahead and run our test cases. That works for all our test cases, even test case 3, which has a lot of nested parentheses. And we'll go ahead and submit the program. And that's going to get you, it should get you a little faster. I'm not sure why it's running slower at the moment. My best time with this one was about 6 milliseconds, 42 megabytes, which is a lot better percentage-wise than these. So this is just one solution I came up with. Feel free to suggest your own, work on your own. I hope you learned something here, and have a great rest of your day.